Hey there! Today I'm teaching you how to use the past tenses in English. Speaking in the past in English is very important because it's something that we talk about daily in English conversation. For example, hey Stefania, how was your weekend? It was so great. I hung out with my friends and we had a good time. In both of these sentences, I use the past tense, and this is a very common scenario for how we would use the past tense in everyday life. Here's another example. Hey, I called you last night. Were you busy? Ugh, I'm so sorry. I was studying for my TOEFL test. If you can't properly use the past tenses in English, you're going to struggle in conversation. By the end of this video, you'll feel more comfortable using past tenses when you speak. Hey there, I'm Gabby. Welcome to English with Gabby. Are you ready to review the 4 past tenses in English? Let's get started. 2 quick reminders for you. Number 1, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can get all of my videos right when they come out. Number 2, I've put timestamps in the description of this video so that you can skip ahead or rewind if you need to review or if you just want to learn a different tense. For all of my email subscribers who are watching this, you get a special gift. I will send you a grammar guide and some practice exercises for past tenses. If you're interested in becoming a part of this, just check the description for the link. All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about simple past. You know what's crazy about simple past tense? Most English learners learn it in level 1. But for some reason, students struggle with using simple past in their speaking, even in the higher levels. I've heard proficiency level students make simple mistakes when it comes to simple past. So let's review. Simple past is used to talk about any events or actions that happened in the past. Basically, before now. This is used to talk about completed past events. So nothing that's unfinished, only finished. This is very important to keep in mind. For example, last night I watched a new series on Netflix. If you look at this example, you'll see that this is something that was completed before now. Let's take a look at the form. First, we have the subject, I. Then we have the second form of the verb, watched. Sometimes this is irregular verbs, but in this case, this is a regular verb. Then we have the object, a series on Netflix. And then we have the time, last night. Now the time can go at the beginning or at the end. Notice at first I said, last night I watched a series on Netflix, but I can also say, I watched a series on Netflix last night. Here's a negative example. I didn't watch anything on Netflix last night. Here's a yes/no question. Did you watch anything last night on Netflix? And here's an information question. Ooh, what Netflix series did you watch last night? Just to review before we move on, the most important thing you need to know about simple past tense is that it's for past completed actions. This is what's going to set it apart from other past tenses. Next, let's move on to past progressive tense. Past progressive tense is slightly different than simple past. It's used for one past event. However, this event is continuous or progressive. By the way, in American English, we say past progressive, but in British English, they say past continuous. They're the same. It doesn't matter which one you use. So past progressive tense is for something that happened continuously in the past. It's finished now, but it didn't just start and finish. It happened over time. For example, I was studying all weekend long. Yesterday morning, I was working out with my friends. We often use this to say that something in the past happened while another past thing was happening. For example, Shelley lost her earring while she was running. We can even use it for past habitual things. Jay was always getting into trouble when he was a little boy. Notice in the past 2 examples that we use simple past and past progressive together. As you can see, the form for past progressive is subject plus to be. Don't forget to be because it's very important. Subject plus to be plus the verb in ing form plus object plus time. I was studying English all weekend long. Now this is where things get serious. I'm about to teach you about past perfect and past perfect progressive tense. These are two of the most difficult tenses in English, but they're very important if you want to elevate your English level. Many students ask if it's important to learn past perfect tense. It's very important to learn these tenses because a lot of native speakers use it. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but if you really want to take your English to a higher level, you're going to want to learn these. Past perfect tense is typically used in two ways. Number one, when we have a past event that happened before a past time. For example, Lulu had gone to bed by midnight. Here we have two past events, Lulu going to sleep and midnight. So I use past perfect in order to show which one happened first. Lulu had already gone to bed by midnight. This is a more simple past perfect sentence. A more advanced level past perfect sentence is comparing two past events and showing which one happened first. For example, Lulu had already gone to bed by the time Orlando got home. In this sentence, we have two past events, Lulu going to sleep and then Orlando getting home. We use past perfect to show that first Lulu went to sleep and then Orlando went home. Notice here that the first event is always going to be past perfect form, but the second event is going to be simple past form. Now let me show you the difference between simple past and past progressive. He watched a movie last night. This is simple past, one past event. He watched a movie last night. Past perfect would be, he had watched a movie before his wife got home. He had watched a movie before his wife got home. This is comparing two events, and we use it to show which one happened first. Do you understand the difference now between simple past and past perfect? Let's take a look at the form. Lulu had already gone to bed by midnight. We see subject, Sarah, had gone, past perfect, which is had, plus V3, past participle, plus object, to bed, plus time, by midnight. She hadn't gone home by the time I arrived at the party. This is a negative example. Had she gone home by the time you got to the party? This is a yes/no question and an information question. When had she gone home? By April, COVID had affected most of the world. Last but not least, let's talk about past perfect progressive or past perfect continuous. First, I just want to start off by telling you that past perfect and past perfect progressive are almost used the same way. Many times, native speakers use them interchangeably, which just means we swap out one for the other. However, there is one important difference between the two tenses, and I'm going to explain exactly what that is. First, it's used to talk about a past event that was in progress or continuing before another past event or time. Here is the most important thing to remember. When we use past perfect progressive tense, the emphasis is on the continuing past action, not the completed past action. Let me give you an example. Joshua wanted to sit down because he had been standing for 3 hours. In this sentence, I'm emphasizing the fact that Joshua had been standing for 3 hours. So I'm emphasizing the duration of his standing. I could use past perfect tense here and say, Joshua wanted to sit down because he had stood for a long time. In this sentence, the emphasis is just on the completed event. Okay, so Joshua was standing and he wanted to sit down. But in the first sentence, I emphasized the amount of time that he was standing. Let me give you another example. I had been waiting for the train for 2 hours by the time it arrived. In this sentence, I choose to use past perfect progressive because it emphasizes how long I was waiting. So now everyone knows how long I was waiting. Another example, my mom was tired because she had been cooking for 4 hours. Again, past perfect progressive tense is emphasizing the duration of the past event. Let's take a look at how we form past perfect progressive sentences. Subject, I, had, plus been. I had been. Then we have verb plus ing, waiting. Then the object, for the train. Then time, for 2 hours. I had been waiting for the train for 2 hours. I'm emphasizing the duration of my waiting. Lastly, here are some very important notes to remember about past progressive tense. Remember that anytime you have a progressive tense, there are some verbs that cannot go into progressive form. For example, state verbs or stative verbs. These are verbs that typically cannot go into ing form. For example, you can't say, I had been knowing. Instead, you would use past perfect and say, I had known. Next, you can't use anything that can only happen one time. For example, find. I had been finding my keys. Nope. I had looked for my keys. Here, I had found my keys or I had been looking for my keys would be a better option because you can only find your keys one time. You can't progressively find your keys. I had been graduating last year from university. Nope, I had graduated from the university last year. Welp, that's it. Now you should be a pro on the differences between the 4 past tenses. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list so that you can get the extra study materials that go along with this video. Don't forget to check out some of the other videos that I have in my channel. That's it for today. See you later.